I said that already, didn't I? But it's still true. How are you guys? I'm so glad you're here. This is one of my favorite things to do. And boy, do I get a lot of garbage for it. On the internet, oh my gosh, you guys. Have you seen any of that junk? Oh, goodness. It's really amazing. It's amazing that some people just, they get very militant, very upset.
They don't have to come to that.
No, they don't have to, but for whatever reason, they just really don't like the fact that somebody would share or facilitate, there's a good word, facilitate a time for people who want to come together and share something of import, of eternal importance and value, something very precious. And some people don't get that. And it's not enough that they don't get it. They don't want you to get it either. You know what I mean? It's not enough that they're not content to sit in the room and say, I don't really like that happens. What they have to do is they have to get on the internet and troll and make up mean things and make up, and just try to kind of trash it. So that's why it is all the more precious to me that you guys are here. I adore you, and I hope you know that. I have something very, very special. First of all, I'd like to start us in prayer. Is that okay? I have to ask permission because I don't want to offend anybody. But I assume that since you came here, you're okay with me praying for you. Is that all right? Okay, good. Because I was going to do it anyway. Father in heaven, thank you for this beautiful day. We have so many blessings and gifts that surround us. Last night we closed our eyes with the full expectation of waking up in the morning, that the sun would rise, our eyes would open, we would have a whole new day in front of us. And what were we going to do? We planned it all out. We have all these fun activities. But we were not guaranteed this day. We were not promised that we would wake up this morning. This day is a gift. The friends that surround us, the bodies that carry us here and there, the brains in our head that help us think and feel and relate and interact. So many blessings that surround us. And the greatest one of all is your love for us, your desire for relationship with us. Yeah, go to church, sure. But if not, much more important, relationship with you. And my greatest desire for everyone here this morning is that they will sense your presence and your love for them in a way that they never have before. Everyone here has probably heard about you. Perhaps it's not accurate information. Maybe so. And wherever these people are in their lives, I pray that you would rush into their hearts this morning with a fresh sense of who you really are. Not the grandpa, not the big man upstairs, not Santa Claus, not a big gray-bearded figure on a throne, not a guy floating on a cloud reaching down to man. Give them a brand new, fresh, personal, intimate image of who you are. And more than that, of your intense love for each and every one of them. Open every heart this morning, starting with mine. In Jesus' name, amen. And thank you for coffee. Because I love it. On the seventh day, God made coffee. And then he rested. You guys, I have a special surprise for you this morning. I have never done this before. So the people that have been in one of these before are like, oh my goodness, what's he gonna do? Last year, here, at this convention, I met a young lady who had the most amazing story. And Michelle and I went downstairs to the food court with this young lady and her friends and sat there like this. And felt tears well up inside us as we listened to this young lady's story. And the first thing I thought was, people need to hear this story. People need to know this girl's story. Because all of us are at different places in our lives. All of us have different struggles, right? Different challenges, different obstacles, barriers. Could be family, could be friends, could be home situation, could be school, could be work related, could be physical ailment, whatever. But this lady's story and what she shared with us was so impactful to me that I thought, you know what, we need to find an opportunity. I told her, we need to figure something out. Sometime, somewhere, we need to figure out something for you to share this with the other people here, because I think it's life-changing. So I'm going to introduce you to Sunny. Sunny, if you want to make your way up here, and we are going to let's see. Ooh, let me get you a chair from up here. Everybody, welcome Sunny for me. Let's do it up here so that everybody can see. Okay. And I will sit on the lowly piano bench. Let's see. Sunny is not used to Sunny is not used to being put in a position to speak, to orate. So we talked this morning about maybe making a little more informal, and I would ask her certain questions to help her kind of focus exactly what she wanted to say to you. So Sunny, tell all of our friends here about who you are and your background and what you shared with me last year.
Okay. I am an anime fan, I'm a cosplayer, and I have brain cancer. I was diagnosed with a pilocytic astrocytoma in December of 2008, and I was given 2 years to live 2 years ago. So right now I'm beating the odds. The tumor has slowed its growth, and it's now just a wait and watch right now. It's pretty much, if it starts growing, I have about 6 months to live. So as far as I see it, death lives in my brain. And I've come to terms with that. I know that I'm not going to survive this. I know that when I do die, it'll either be a very slow process or I'll die of a sudden stroke. But none of this has been a hindrance to me. To me, this diagnosis has been, if anything, my green light.
How old are you, Sunny?
I'm the age when I stop answering that question.
Let me see your driver's license. How old are you really?
I will be 30 in 7 days.
30. 30. I think that's important. I just think that's important. So how did you come to be diagnosed? Tell me about your symptoms that caused you to go, hey, something's not quite right. I should get this checked out.
Well, I lost 25% of the sensation and strength in the left side of my body, and the doctors just dismissed that. You're too young to have a brain tumor. It's just a side effect of your migraines, which I had all the time. And it wasn't until they did a PFO, which just means a hole in my heart, and a migraine study when they found out that I did have a hole in my heart, and they did a brain scan to see if I had a stroke already, but I didn't. I had a brain tumor instead. So that's when they discovered the lump, the hole, whatever you want to call it, And it wasn't until December when I went in for a biopsy of it that they discovered actually what it was. But I walked into the hospital fine. I didn't walk out. I woke up. I was partially paralyzed, couldn't eat or drink normally. I couldn't speak very well. I was half blind. I couldn't walk. I couldn't move very well. My eyes couldn't move very well. I couldn't move my head whatsoever. I was completely dependent on other people to provide for me, to get me dressed, to shower me, to feed me, everything. And it was an incredibly humbling experience. And I remember laying in ICU, staring at the ceiling tiles, wondering, how do I respond to this? How am I supposed to feel? And I realized that I could either be depressed about it, miserable, which was completely justifiable, or I could just be happy anyway. There isn't a rule anywhere that says you have to be miserable when you are sick and in pain. So I chose to be happy anyway, and I went forward with that choice ever since.
And you, this was discovered in '08?
Yes.
So 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And help us understand when you realized what you were facing. I can only imagine, because I can't imagine what all of you, I mean, all of the thoughts and all, that would come rushing into your head. Share with us what were some of your initial thoughts that you are 28 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and you have a brain tumor that is, according to the doctors, going to end your life in 2 years.
Mm-hmm. It took time. No one can just accept everything all at once, so I took everything gradually, a little bit of understanding here and there. At first I, of course, asked why, because this wasn't the first bad thing that had happened in my life. I've been an abused kid, a homeless teen. I grew up in a broken home. I've been single, married, and divorced. I've been in the military, been civilian. I've been a little bit of everything. And I'm a foster kid as well. So this is just one more thing, and you think there's some kind of limit, like you're only supposed to experience one really bad thing in your life, and that's your obstacle in life. But no, this was just one more thing, and it seemed like a pretty big thing. But just like a reed bends in the wind and a tree snaps in half and dies, you have to become flexible to survive everything. And you would think that maybe God is angry with you, or you're doing something bad and you are being corrected. But that's never the case. I think Job and Jesus would have something to say about that. No, this is not punishment. This is just one more thing. This is God's way of putting me on his path, not my own. I grew up with my own plans, and they were worthy goals. I was in the Marine Corps. I was a combat motion media specialist, and that was going to be my ticket to be a director. That's what I had always dreamed to be. But illness knocked that aside. I had chronic migraines, really chronic migraines. Then I thought, well, if I can't do that because of illness, maybe I can be a paramedic or work as a translator in the hospital or work with mentally challenged adults. But each plan I made fell through. I was making worthy goals, yes, but they were not what God had in store for me. That's not what he had planned for me. And I realized that I had no control over my life. In fact, I never did from the beginning. No one does. You think you do, but you're not in control. So I gave up control. I handed my life over to God.
Stan, this is the part that confuses me, because most people, a lot of people, when something bad happens, and I'll bet all of us can attest to this, when something bad happens, one of the first things you do, if you even believe that there's a God, is you start shaking your fist at him, right? How could you let this happen to me? I'm a good person. I've been a good person. I've tried to be kind to people. I've never hurt anyone. I've never broken the law. Why in the world would you let this happen to me? And a lot of people feel that because they've been dealt a bad hand or had a hardship or a difficulty, that that's some kind of permission to blame God and opt out, and it ruins any relationship with God. They blame him, and instead of drawing closer to him, it actually causes them to shove him away. And I'm sure you probably have all spoken to somebody in your lives, or maybe you're one of them, who something happened in your life, and it completely polarized you against God, faith, church, Christians, Jesus, any of that, prayer, any of it. Throw it all out the window because of what has happened, what God let happen to me. What was your choice and why in that situation?
When you meet old people, there's only two kinds. There's the sweet and the bitter. There is no in between. Every time...
That's good. That's really good.
Every time you're faced with an obstacle, you are faced with a choice. You're faced with a question. How do I respond to this? This question directly translates down the road to, who will I be? And a lot of people, when bad things happen to them, think they're owed. The world owes them, and people that meet them later on will pay that awful cost. But Jesus did not climb down from that cross and shake his fist saying, you owe me. We're not owed anything. In fact, actually, I have a quote that's pretty good. Jesus has chosen, even in a resurrected, otherwise perfect body, to retain for the benefit of his disciples the wounds in his hands and in his feet and in his side. Signs, if you will, that painful things happen even to the pure and perfect. Signs, if you will, that pain in this world is not evidence that God doesn't love you. Signs, if you will, that problems will pass and happiness can be ours. God tries those whom he loves. And it's never a punishment. That's not how God works. He doesn't work by strickening you with an illness or something. That's just not how it works.
That reminds me of that story in the scripture, remember? Where a sick man was brought to Jesus and the disciples, and what was the first thing the disciples said? They said, what did this guy do that he's being punished by being sick? Remember this?
Or his parents.
They just assumed that he must have done something wrong, or his parents did something wrong for him to be stricken with this illness. And what did Jesus say? Do you remember? He said he didn't do anything. Do you know?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I can't vote though.
Okay, go ahead. Come close. Now, what was his, in summary, what did Jesus say? Why was this man ill?
He wasn't ill because of anything he had done or his parents had done. He was ill for the benefit to teach others.
That God's glory could be displayed through him. He hadn't been a bad boy. His parents hadn't been bad, and so he was stricken with this illness. So tell them, if you would, as you did tell me last year, what did this life-threatening illness, tumor, do to your relationship with God? Where were you before this extremely bad thing happened, and where are you now?
I was close to God before, but I'm ever so much more closer now. Because the more suffering you undergo, and if you make the right choices about it, and you have the right attitude about it, and you keep your eyes and your heart and your mind on spiritual, eternal matters, you become more like he whom the Father sent. You are more like him. You have experienced life like he has experienced it. You are more on his level. You have a more intimate relationship with him because you are feeling walking side by side with him the entire way. Never are you ever alone in this. God knows you. He knows where you are, and he knows the best path for you, and he will walk with you every single step of the way, down the entire way. And you just have to realize that these little things, they're not coincidences that you're experiencing. These little happenstances that you've experienced some kind of amazing spiritual fire if you look for it and you accept it for what it is and not try to excuse it as something else entirely, something mundane. People entering your life is the biggest thing. Look to see what you can offer other people, see what they are offering you, see what you can exchange, and in this you can both grow spiritually.
How does God comfort you when you, and I can only assume, and I don't know, but I would assume that occasionally you lie in bed at night as you're drifting off to sleep and you're contemplating the day, or contemplating your life, or contemplating tomorrow, and forgive me, but contemplating if there will be a tomorrow. How does God comfort you, and what does he say to you? What do you hear in your spirit from him?
When I'm brought really low, when I'm in intense pain and intense suffering, and no medication can alleviate it, and there is no treatment for it, and I have nothing to do but wait it out, even if it will not end, I pray to God, and instead of just praying for relief, for it to go away, I pray that it will be taken from me, because everything I'm experiencing is what Jesus is experiencing at that moment. He experiences every iota of pain you feel. He experiences it as you experience it. He doesn't know at the moment that he is God and he can escape from it. He doesn't know that there is an end. He has to experience it exactly as you do, with your thoughts and feelings and knowledge, so that he can better succor his disciples. So I pray instead that it will be relieved from me, so that it will be relieved from him, so that he won't have to suffer so much, because he has suffered too much already. And in that, I feel like a fire inside, a comfort, like he really appreciates the gesture, but we really can't take it away at the moment. But in that, I feel the closeness with him, and I always pray that I'm a tool in his hands, as imperfect as I am, that I can be a tool in his hands and do what he wants and be his mouthpiece when he needs. And in doing that, I'm walking side by side with him, and I can feel the warmth of his spirit, and I can feel approval and love, especially when I show love to others. When I show love to others, I can feel the love of heaven. Because that, if heaven could speak one word down to earth, it would be love. That is the biggest message they could ever send. That is the most important lesson you could ever learn in life to begin with, is love. Love other people. Just love them. It doesn't matter if it's returned. Just love them. There's no love given away to no end, because it will come back one way or another. And even if you give it to someone who does not give it back, they will remember that love, and someday down the road they may be able to give that love to someone else. It will ripple out, like if you touch a finger in a pond, it'll ripple out to places you can't even imagine.
So, first of all, thank you so much for sharing with everybody. And in summary, what do you want these people to remember about you? If you could sum up, if you move away and they don't see you at a convention or whatever, they remember that Sunny girl, Sunny, who talked in that service in Anime Week in Atlanta. What do you want them to remember about you?
Everyone is a bird in a cage. Sometimes that cage will get chipped, maybe rusted. Sometimes people will come along and spread filth on your cage. It may get bent and broken, but During this time, you have to remember to sing. Someday, that cage will break open, and the bird will be able to fly free and join its own kind in the skies. But if it has not sung, it will not remember that it was a bird, and it will not remember that it could ever fly. So sing. It doesn't matter what happens on the outside. No matter what happens to my body, it's just the cage. The bird inside is pure, undefiled, healthy, and vibrant. And when the cage breaks, I will be able to fly free and join my own kind in the skies.
Thank you, Sunny. Please give her another hand. So in case you're wondering, what's the point? Every one of us has struggles and difficulties. I get emails from fans every day about struggles in their lives. And like I said earlier, I know that many of you have found yourselves tested, found yourselves broken, forgotten, made fun of, lost, abandoned, betrayed. But you just heard from a young lady who is not much older than you, or probably younger. And I hope Sunny doesn't mind me saying this, but it's powerful. She may not be here next year for Anime Weekend Atlanta. Now the good news is, she's not afraid. She knows where her home is. And she is quite confident that when that cage breaks, that bird will fly free. So with the hand that she has been dealt, she has an optimism. She has a peace. She has a confidence and hope. So here's my question to you. What's your excuse? What's your reason? Search your own heart right now. What is your reason to be angry or to be resistant to God's love for you and His desire for you and relationship? If there's anything in your life that has kept you from opening your heart to that, remember Sunny next time. And think, if this young lady can experience what she has experienced and still go through every day with a joy and a peace and a hope and a relationship with God that gives her such confidence and such joy in the midst of difficulties, I can too. That would be my hope for each of you, for all of us, for myself as well. I will be the first to tell you, and my mother is sitting in the front row, so she will attest to the fact that this is true. I have lived an unusually blessed life. And I know it. I have had no illness or injury worth speaking of. I've been relatively healthy, you know, whatever, go to school and had friends and wasn't ostracized and I've never had any horrible, terrible accidents. But life will deal you some harsh blows if you live long enough sometimes, even if you know what I mean? Even if you kind of live a charmed life, eventually something's going to happen. There will be loss and pain and difficulty because that's the world we live in. The world that we live in is a broken world, you guys. It's busted. Because of choices that human beings have made through the generations, all the way back, the world is broken. When I get emails from fans that say, my uncle got cancer and he just died and I loved my uncle very much, why would God do that? You guys, God didn't do that. That's the world we live in. That illness and sickness and disease and brokenness and loneliness is a result of the world that people have made over the years. The good news is that God's love and God is forever. It's eternal. Now take the 30 years, or if you're lucky, the 70 years, or 80 or 90 years that you're going to live on this planet. That is literally a speck, a grain of sand on the beach of eternity. I think Sonny knows that. I think Sonny knows that, and there's a verse that just came to my mind. The present struggles and heartache that we feel now are not to be compared with the joy that awaits us. So my challenge to you this morning is, wherever you are in your lives, nobody knows but you, right? Nobody knows exactly what's in your heart and your mind and your longings and your hopes and your dreams and your heartaches and your disappointments. Nobody knows them like you do. But wherever you are, whatever may have ever happened to you, no matter how big or small, you can rise above it. You can come out the other side victorious, not defeated. And I would submit to you that that victory comes from a relationship with God. You're free to disagree. But it's my panel. So I get to share that. I would never want to force anything down anyone's throats, but in my experience, in my life, and I've seen it evidenced in other people's lives, and when I met this sweet young girl who is decades younger than I am and has gone through the difficulties and the struggles and the challenges that she has, and she's able to look you right in the face and smile at you. There's power in that, you guys. Do you feel that? Do you sense that? There is an enormous amount of God in that. That somebody who has every right in the world to stand before you and go, man, have I been dealt a crummy hand? I have every reason, and some people would argue every right, to be cantankerous and angry and mean and hurt. You see that sweet smile on her face? You can't fake that, you guys. That's God. And if He can give her that peace and that joy, He can most definitely give it to you. Thank you for sharing your story with us. I'm going to close in prayer, and and then I'm going to wish you guys a wonderful, wonderful day. And let me thank you again for coming, because it's early in the morning, and I know, Saturday's a big day at a convention, and Sunday's really hard to get up early. You know what I'm talking about. So let me close this in prayer, and I will look forward to seeing you guys. I will look forward to seeing you through the day at some of the other events. I'm going to stay up here. I'm going to stay up here until 11. So if you'd like to come up and speak about something, and if it's okay, Sonny, can I volunteer you to stay here and chat with anyone? Please. Let's close in prayer, and thank you for being here. Father in heaven, I don't think our brains are big enough to comprehend all of the things that are out there that we try so desperately to wrap our minds around. But I know that your love for us is real. I know that every person in this room, from the smallest to the biggest, from the youngest to the oldest, is dearly loved by you. And that your desire for everyone in this room is a relationship with you. I thank you for Sunny. I thank you for her sweet heart, and I thank you for the enormous strength and confidence and peace that you have given her. And better than that, she's not keeping it to herself. She's gonna share it. She's gonna spread it out. She's gonna be that pond that you tap your finger in and the ripples go out. And we can pray that you will use her in the lives of many, many, many other people to draw them closer to you in a way that they might otherwise not have done had they not heard her share her story. I pray that you would open every heart here today. I pray that sometime tonight, maybe later, as they're laying in their beds and they're resting their head on their pillow and they're contemplating the day and thinking about what they heard and what they did and what they saw and what they bought in the dealer's room and what costumes they saw that were cool and what panels they attended. I pray that somewhere in their thoughts before they drift off is, wow, that's Sunny girl. Wow. She has had so many struggles, and God has brought her through them, and she has this amazing relationship and this peace that I wish I had. At the moment that that thought comes into their minds, I pray that each person here will open their hearts and invite you through your Son, Jesus, to come in and live with them and walk with them and guide them. Be the friend that sticks closer than a brother, like the Bible says. And like the verse says in 1 Peter that I even looked up to share with them in 1 Peter 5, casting all your care on God, for he cares for you. Help them to sense your love and to feel your presence. And start tomorrow with a new plan, a new path, a new goal, to live the life you always intended for them. Be the person you want them to be and experience a joy and a peace like Sunny has. Thank you so much for this time and for everyone here. In Jesus' name, amen. Would you play one of those songs for us? And Sunny, if you want to come up here and